Hello, and welcome to As Built, the podcast from Graphic Machine about architecture firms, buildings, and how both are built. I am your co-host, Patience Jones. With me is your other co-host,
Brian Jones.
Thank you for joining us. Today's episode is called When Everyone's a Marketer. I don't have any horror movie music, but you can imagine some. So, oftentimes, people leading firms will find themselves on the receiving end of a lot of questions, ideas, feedback, what have you, falling under the umbrella of marketing from lots and lots and lots of people in the firm. And this will range from, should we go to this event, to I think we should change the firm name to X, to why aren't we posting about this on social media, to did you see this brochure this other firm did? And that can sometimes feel like just this tidal wave of sound and noise that you don't need because you're trying to run your firm, but at the same time, you can't just ignore it. So how do you turn that, let's call it energy, into opportunities instead of headaches?
Yes.
And there we go.
Yeah. So you first have to kind of acknowledge that there's kind of a few different structures that the firm might have. So you might have a smaller firm who may not have a dedicated marketing team in place. And so, it sort of falls on various people throughout the organization, and they may or may not have been empowered to make decisions, but, so that's kind of scenario one. Scenario two is a slightly larger firm where there are dedicated resources and they are more likely just responsible for managing RFP production and doing some general assembly of marketing materials for things going out, but they're not necessarily operating as a true marketing division and making strategic decisions about the firm, because that's still happening at the top of the firm. Then there's kind of the final, which is a larger firm, which would probably have a dedicated marketing team, probably a more traditional marketing head who's helping drive the strategy of how the firm's going to take the sales position and turn that into something that can be communicated. So those are kind of the three scenarios. And I think largely what we're talking about is in bucket A, where there's, a not necessarily well-defined structure for marketing. And so everybody feels equally open to communicating and expressing their beliefs about things. And it can feel like there's no single person that can kind of corral that, because there's no inherent structure in the firm to say, this is the person whose job it is. And so that's what we're talking about a little bit, I think.
Absolutely. But I do think it's, I'm going to just call it a problem. It's a problem that is seen in firms regardless of size and regardless of internal structure. Even when you have a firm that has a dedicated internal marketing team, they're the ones that are receiving these all day long from all different kinds of people. And often the ideas that are raised are conflicting with each other. So it's not even just a matter of, oh yeah, let's do this thing.
Or you have different partners that have different visions for things, and the firm's overall direction is pulled in lots of different splinter directions, for sure.
And the reason underlying all of this energy is really good, which is that people really care. They're bringing these things up because they care. That's great.
Yeah.
And you don't want to lose that. You don't want to shut that down and make people feel like they shouldn't care or it's not worth it for them to care. But you do have to have some way of harnessing that productively, helping people feel heard, helping them feel that what they say matters, while also not feeling like you have to say yes to everybody, because not every idea is a good idea.
Well, on the last episode, we talked a lot about, a firm having a marketing strategy. And I cannot think of a better reason why a firm should have a marketing strategy, but for this exact scenario. Part of what you would be communicating to the team, and I mean the entire firm or all the interested parties that are coming forth, is what you're trying to accomplish with the marketing. so that you can get that buy-in so they understand, oh, this is why we're doing it. This is who we're going to try and, solicit to be clients. This is why all these things are in place. Because otherwise, and this gets to the point of the corralling the energy that you talked about, you're going to have a lot of creative people that have all been trained in visual elements of their life, and they're going to have very specific views on what things should look like. And that will get the sole focus of anything. And you'll have a lot of people believing they're right because it is the way that they would want to solve the problem. And so by having that first conversation that we talked about in the last episode, where you have made your decision about a strategy, you have some tools to start to put a framework around the conversation because it isn't just a free for all. And that is the number one thing that you want to avoid in these scenarios is feeling like it's an opportunity for everyone to be heard. It is not where everything is possible because at the end of the day, you have a goal that you're trying to achieve.
Well, this is where also having periodic, not super, super frequent, but having periodic meetings that involve anybody who wants to attend, or maybe just the people that have contacted you with ideas to go over those ideas and to give them feedback. As an example, if somebody says, I think that we should go and exhibit at the Venice Biennale. Okay. If you just respond with an email and you say, no, we're not doing that, it doesn't really matter what your reasons are or how sound they are. All the other person is going to feel is dismissed. If you write back a long tome in an email, one, that takes a lot of time. Two, that is often perceived as an invitation for the other person to respond in kind. Then you will have a tome that you have to wade through and respond point by point. This is exhausting. What you want is the shortest amount of effort for the best outcome. So having a forum where you can say to that person, listen, I got your suggestion about the Biennale. I think that would be amazing. There's a lot that goes into that. And it's probably like a 4-year planning cycle. So why don't we meet next quarter and discuss, what that looks like for 4 years from now, or discuss what would have to go into making that a reality. If you know it's something you're never, ever going to do, then you can say, unfortunately, that's probably not something that we're ever going to do because it's so cost prohibitive and would require so many people to be away from the office. You also can ask people, and I recommend this, why are they suggesting this thing? So if somebody says, we need to be at the Biennale, that's such an interesting suggestion. How did you come to that conclusion? What led you to that? Why should we be there? Because you may uncover another opportunity or concern that this person has, or maybe they have misinformation about something going on at the firm and this is your opportunity to correct it. But you will get a lot farther if you're inviting them to explain why they think this thing that you should do is important.
I mean, it kind of is talking at core about a few key pieces which are important in this process, which is kindness and transparency. As much as possible, because the kindness, is good, because what you want to be is create an environment where people feel comfortable sharing, but you are also being transparent as to the reasons why something will or won't be able to be possible, because people can sense when they aren't being, and that's really, if you want to cultivate a firm where you get the best ideas wherever they happen to come from, that's the only way you're going to get them is by building that up.
I think that's a really important point too, is often we assume, well, any suggestions that come from people who don't do what we do are not worth listening to or would be ill-informed. That is not always the case. And if you have that mindset, you will miss out on a lot. Somebody who has no marketing background, but who really is listening to what clients in the market are saying, may come to you with a really great idea. They may not even understand what a great idea it is. So it's important to really hear what everybody's saying and not just blow it off because it didn't come from within your department.
or from the people that you thought it should come from.
Yeah. And if there are sometimes in a firm, there's that person that's just like, God love them. They are just undeterred. And it doesn't matter how many times they're told that their idea is not workable, too expensive, not related to anything the firm is doing, terrible. They will just keep coming back and coming back and coming back. I think I have seen people respond rather cruelly to that person. And no matter how frustrating it is when you think, oh, Lord, here comes so-and-so again, know that they're doing it because they really care. They really passionately care about this firm and about its future and about the work and the reputation, and just squeeze your stress ball under the desk while you're talking to them and get through it. But the worst thing you could do is to gut that person, be mean to them. That's just not okay.
So what do you think the big takeaways are from this piece?
I think finding a system that works for whoever the person or people who have to respond to all of these inquiries, finding a system that works for them to be able to receive and respond to all of the suggestions and feelings that people have about marketing in a way that is compassionate and kind and efficient. Because what you also don't want to do is have your staff spending, 6 hours a day having conversations with people about why you can't, build a helicopter with your firm name on it. So it's just finding a way to process.
And I would say, on the kindness and transparency front, it's really critical to build the rapport that you need to have a successful firm. And it will help people feel a part of something, and it will help build trust in the decisions that ultimately get made, because you'll have brought them along for the ride and they won't feel like it just came out of nowhere. So it's really, really critical.
Exactly. And it will also keep people from going rogue. If you're consistently giving them the back of the hand about their ideas, at some point they're going to just decide to take matters into their own hands, and the next thing you know, you're going to see a billboard for your firm as you're driving down the highway. So you want to make sure that everybody knows that they're part of the team, and that everybody's, I hate this phrase, but just because it's so overused, but that everybody's rowing in the same direction.
They're valued.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you are valued, dear listener. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time.